Hello, I'm Pamela Davis. Welcome to episode 119 of the Well Done Life podcast. Hello, and welcome back to episode 119 of the Well Done Life podcast. I'm your host, Pamela Davis. If you are new here, hey, how are you? Welcome. I am so glad that you're here. If you have been here before, you guys know the deal. I love you deep, and I just really always appreciate your continued support and encouragement on the journey. Before we get started with this week's episode, I wanted to take a moment to set the intention. This podcast that I created, this safe space, I really kind of like to treat it like a house. And I know you guys are probably sick of me always saying this, but I feel like we have to be foundational in order to make sure we start off right. This house is created on two very important things, this safe space. It is based upon clarity and love. So clarity, just so that everyone understands what you're here for, the Well Done Life podcast is a podcast that I created for women. I created this space because I believe that women are the foundation of society. And I think we need spaces where we can be our most authentic selves, the good, the bad, the ugly, where we can share and learn from each other. So that's what we do in this space. You guys listen to me, you hear other stories from other amazing women, and hopefully along the way you glean that, you know what? You can live your best life too, your well done life too. All you have to do is maybe possibly open your heart and your mind to hearing a different perspective, learning some lessons that you didn't realize that you needed to learn, or expressing empathy and learning and growing and sharing from hearing another sister, another queen, another woman on the journey as well. And hopefully just evolving and growing on and living fully on your terms. So that's what the Well Done Life is about, giving you the tools to live your best well life. And then that leads me into my second favorite thing, because now that you know why you're here, I want you to know that everything in this space, everything that we will do is rooted in love. Love is the thing. Love is one of my favorite things. It's so funny. I have been jamming for the past past week, I think is when it came out, right? The Beyonce Renaissance album, which I love. But I love Cuff It because she said she's in the mood. She wants to fall in love. And I've said, I am so in the mood to fall in love. So I'm in the mood to fall in love, y'all. But that's a whole nother side story. But anywho, everything that we do in this space will be rooted and created in love. So I like to make sure that I share love with you guys every day, every episode, by sending out prayers to you. This week, I definitely want to send you prayers of empathy. I want to send you prayers of strength. I want to send you prayers, of course, of love. I want you to feel love from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet. I want you also to have prayers of peace, because it's crazy in these streets. It is really crazy. And there's always something new every day. And you just are expected to be resilient and keep going, but it can really jar you and disturb your peace. So I want you to have as much peace surrounding you as possible. And I also want you to have prayers of rest, because rest is essential. And to the soul, to the mind, to the body, to the skin, to the soul, honey, you need your rest. So I hope you get some rest this week. And I also send you prayers of perseverance, because life is lifing, and there is always going to be something that you are going to encounter on that journey. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. That's why I threw in that prayer of perseverance, because you have to have perseverance, especially when you are in the seasons of life. And we'll talk a little bit more about the seasons of life in a moment, but you need that perseverance, that strength, that resilience inside of you to say that you are not going to give up, even though it looks like you need to give up. That's false evidence appearing real, or fear, and you're pushing through because you know that this is just a season and you are equipped to handle anything that will come your way. So wanted to send you prayers of perseverance. So now that we've kind of gotten clarity and prayers and love out of the way, let's start to dive into this week's episode. Last week was crazy. And I want to thank everybody for their support of episode 118, Care, because it is truly where I was feeling in that moment, and that feeling has just continued to manifest. I cannot express to y'all how much care I need, but I wanted to share it because that's just really how it is. Sometimes when you are the strong person, you need to be able to express the fact that you need care because people take it for granted. And you take it for granted because it's not just up to people to realize what you need. It's up to us to understand that we have to ask for what we need. We have to demand what we need. We should be in reciprocal situations in our lives that allow us to get what we need. And when we're not getting that, we have to stand in our truth. We have to stand in our needs so that we can make sure we're setting ourselves up for success, for peace of mind, because you will lose yourself in cycles of caring for other people if you do not button out care for yourself. So I hope you enjoyed that episode. I definitely was feeling away when I recorded it, but I'm glad I did it because for me, kind of like what I was explaining in that episode, that was a big step because I struggle with asking for care. And so that step has really definitely, if I even think about it, continued into this week. I'm in a season. Let me just put it like that. I'm in a season. And this past week has been crazy. Just crazy. It was just so unexpected. I had a family emergency. And so all week I have been distracted, taking care of it. I've been getting stuff done because I can operate in bullshit and in craziness, but I'm just sometimes I'm just going through. I can't even pretend. I'm glad I'm actually sitting here tonight on Saturday, August 6th at 9:06 p.m. recording. And I had no intention of it. I put this off until the last human moment because this episode is going to go live tomorrow at 9 a.m. or at 6 a.m. But, because I wasn't even sure if I had the bandwidth to sit down and record it. But I'm glad things are definitely getting better, and I see the light at the end of the tunnel. And so I want to talk about it because in the middle of it, like I said, I realized I'm in a season. And I know that, there's always going to be seasons in life. And a lot of times we don't talk about those seasons, because we're very focused on being positive and trying to be intentional and manifest the goodness of life, which is always still happening in the middle of it. Because let me tell y'all, in the middle of all the craziness that I have going on in my family life, I'm still succeeding, which is crazy. I worked a full week this week like it was no thing. I got it done. I had like one crazy moment at the end of the week, but I managed to still work through it. And on top of that, I think I had been telling you guys, or I have mentioned that I was working on, acquiring new certifications and training this year as part of my things that I left behind, not pushing myself and going and checking on different things. So this year, I was working on a certification for data analytics from Google, and I finished in the middle of my craziness. Like it was nuts. I actually managed to get my certification done. I haven't been able to post it because I just haven't had the mindset to sit down and actually post it. Like that's nuts. Like I could actually sit down and finish taking the test and doing it and getting certified, but then I just didn't have the energy to celebrate it or post it, which is nuts. But that's just kind of like the cycle that I have been in this week. It has definitely been crazy. And, I'm like talking around it, but I really shouldn't. So it's funny. It just feels weird talking about it, but it shouldn't be because y'all, you guys know I take care of my family. And, this week was a tough week for me because my mom had to go into the hospital unexpectedly, like last Sunday night. So like from last Sunday night until now, I have been in go mode taking care of her. And it's been a lot. To say is a lot is actually like an understatement. It just, like I said, it happened so quickly, how sick she got, and then having to take her to the hospital. And she's been in the hospital. She is still in the hospital as I am recording this, but she's doing so much better. She had surgery on Friday, and she's been doing great since then. So hopefully she'll come home in the next day or so. But trying to manage that, and my sister and I are trying to work and just live and exist. And we're just recovering from the panini, because remember I told you the panini kind of ran through our house. So it has just been a season, and I literally had to sit and process that because I needed to kind of put context to this. And let me kind of back up. When it happens, or when things like this happen in my life, because of being a caregiver, I instantly go into go mode. I do. I don't really, it's sometimes very challenging. I might not call people or talk about it. I just instantly go into, I need to try to get this under control and fix it and focus. So I get very quiet. I'm one of those people, kind of like, I guess, what Notorious B.I.G. used to say, real bad girls move in silence and violence. I literally do. Like, I move in silence. If I need to get something done, if something's going on, I hunker down, I get quiet, and I just focus. If you see me get quiet, that means, oh yeah, she's cooking up something in the books. She's got something going on, and she is just determined to get it through. I do. That's just how I operate. And again, I always have told you guys, I'm working through compartmentalizing my traumas and pains. And so when things happen to my family, because, I'm very honest about how much I love my mother and my sister and how important they are to me. They are like my heartbeats walking outside of my chest. I'm very protective of them. So if anything happens to either one of them, it's like, it's a trauma, and it instantly sends me into, silence and violence. I got to get things happening. I don't have time to really worry about me right now. I got to worry about them. I have to focus my energy on them. And so it has been like that since last Sunday. And like I said, it definitely, it happened really quickly. There wasn't really a lot of time to think. I just had to do. So I have been doing since last Sunday. And I can tell you, I'm exhausted. My mom's exhausted. My sister's exhausted. Like, we are all tired emotionally from this because, of course, again, you worry and just start thinking about things that you should not be. I mean, she's 75 years young, so I value all the time that I have with her, even when she is driving me crazy, which is often than not, but I still value those times. So it just kind of has been a week of dealing with that. And like I said, still trying to recover from the panini and trying to get back into life. And so when I was driving from home from the hospital, I think on Wednesday. But yeah, by Wednesday, my mindset started to actually be able to okay, I got to figure out how to give life to this. And actually, you know what? I think that really started to come to this realization on Tuesday, because I had a moment of peace. Like, my sister had tagged out with me so that I could work from my home and she could go and sit with my mom during the day, because we sit with her all the time, because we're the ones who can make sure that she eats and stuff like that, because she doesn't like other people. She does, but not really. So we're the ones who can keep her focused. And so while I was working, I came to the realization, you know what? I'm in a season. And when I said I was like, I had to say it that way, because I was looking for rationale as to why I was going through these things. And I think we all do, when life starts to hit you really hard sometimes, especially when it's back-to-back moments, because like I said, we had just started to get recovered from the panini, and then here we go. It's like you start to question and instantly wonder, which I think is natural. Like, what's going on? Do I not have juju? I'm a sage burning, waist bead wearing, Florida water carrying kind of Christian. I'm always prayed up and covered at all times by God and the ancestors. And I'm like, I'm trying to do right. But you instantly go to those moments in time in your life where you're trying to scour to make sure, what, am I not living right? Am I not doing what I need to do? And making sure that I'm okay, because I want to make sure I'm not putting out any negative energy that would bring any kind of craziness to me. And believe me, that was a quick and fleeting thought, because I know I'm not doing anything nutty. But at the same time, then I instantly had to remind myself that this is a season. And I'm in this season because, one, and the most important one to think of, I am equipped to handle anything that is face thrown at me because I am covered by God and the ancestors. Like, I know my army is strong behind me, so I can handle this. One. And then two, I'm in a season because there is obviously some further growth, some further knowledge, some further assignment, some further thoughts, some further things that I need to learn to uncover in this time. And so we're in a season. And in the season, it affects everyone because, like, in circumstances like this, like from talking to my mom, we do try to keep her very healthy and regimented because of other conditions that she has. But it's even made her think about, how she needs to take an even more concerted effort to ensure that she is being as healthy as possible. And it made my sister and I think, we have to make sure that we continue to stay close and continue to make sure our game plan is strong, so that if anything were to come up, we can just continue to support each other as we're taking care of mom. But then at the same time, we need time too. Like, we need our breaks. We need to make sure that we are pouring into each other, because it is very easy in a moment, in an instant, for things to change. And then all of a sudden you are totally distracted and focused on somebody else. And if you are not properly pouring into yourself, you can go crazy. Like, I literally can tell you can go crazy, because I would say since last Sunday night at 9:00, I have been in the hospital every day. And when I talk about being in a hospital, I'm not going in there for like an hour or two. I'm talking about 6 to 8 hours a day that I am spending in a hospital. And even in one night, I actually slept there and overnight. And it was just a horrible experience. Not that the place is not nice, but it's just like, look, them seats are too hard, and my body requires a more comforting space to be able to lay down at night and rest. And I'm sacrificing my rest because I'm trying to take care of somebody else. There is seasons and moments in your life that can happen like that so fast that you get so caught up in that you put yourself on the shelf, and all of a sudden you'll be broke down thinking, oh, they'll be looking at you like, you might need to put you in one of these beds. Literally. Because it's funny, I don't know if I had mentioned, I may not have, as a part of my panini experience, it created like an attack in my sciatic nerve. And I used to be a runner, or power walker, marathoner, whatever you want to call it. Many moons ago, I decided to start this journey in my 40s, which was nuts. And it really is a lot on the body because, I'm a plush size diva. And so it's a lot of strain and stress on the joints and on the back. And I've had car accidents and all different things. So I'm like a jigsaw puzzle at times. And I have not had, I go to acupuncture like a couple of times a month because that's really great for my health and my centering. And of course, the panini put a kibosh on that. So I haven't had a treatment in like a month. And then imagine you get a sciatic flare from the panini. It literally caused my sciatica to flare up so bad that I literally was crying. I think I told you guys one night at like 1:00 in the morning. That's how I discovered my mom was sick, because she heard me crying because the flare just hit me so fast. And I was just wrecked out for 10 days plus. And then I'm just trying to recover from that. And I'm doing things that are even exacerbating it, but I'm trying to take care of my mom and work at the same time. It's like we're putting ourselves in all these different places and spaces to try to accommodate other people's needs, because that's what we do. Remember, we are the people who get things done and you wind up breaking yourself down if you're not careful, because you're in a season and you haven't recognized that this is in a season. So there are so many reasons why it's so important to do that. But again, those are just some. So once I was able to put it in that perspective, I was able to make sure that I start to align my prayer life a lot stronger toward speaking over myself while I'm in this season, and reminding myself the power of my words and my thoughts, because I can't get beat down in the season. It really took me back at certain points to how I was as an early caregiver, those first few years, walking through life like a walking zombie, because I was just processing, trauma from my dad's grief. And at the same time, dealing with my mom's health. And her health was just too atrocious when we first moved her here. To where she is now, it's like night and day. And it was rough. It was overwhelming. And then trying to be there for my sister and her emotions and her needs, it was a lot. And so I look at it now, being able to even verbalize that I was in a season really shows my growth over these years. And it should remind you that when you are in moments where things seem like they are hitting you back to back, how important it is to be able to verbalize that you are in a season. Because once you start to verbalize that you're in a season, you then can be very strategic about understanding how you are going to navigate this season. And like I said, for me, I start to move in silence and violence. I put my head down and I focus on trying to get it done. But in that, I make sure that my prayer life gets stronger. I make sure that I stay constantly in the word, because the word gives me strength. I'm a big 37 Psalm person. I have to make sure I read that sucker morning and night sometimes, especially in seasons, because I need that hedge of protection to help keep my mind focused on what I'm trying to accomplish. And so I'm doing that. And then at the same time, I'm also checking in with my sister and I'm reminding her, that we are in a season. And when you are able to give that verbalization and speak with someone in that way, it's amazing how they can pour into you, because, my sister was like, what, you're right. It's a season. Because then you start to think about what is actually a season. And we probably should have started with that now that I think about it. But, a season, it's a temporary thing. And let me be foundational, because you guys know I love to be foundational. I like to make sure that I keep a good and nasty dictionary on deck. And let me go. Obviously, I probably should have talked about this before. I should have looked it up, but it's okay though. I have Merriam-Webster's like on speed dial probably in my phone, and I found it right here. So, here, a season, a time characterized, it is a noun, and I'm reading Merriam-Webster, and I'm going to put it in the show notes so everybody understands. But the definition of season, entry 1 of 2, a time characterized by a particular circumstance or feature. Example, in a season of religious awakening, a suitable or natural time or occasion. When my season comes to sit on David's throne, an indefinite period of time, while sent home again to her father for a season, a period of the year characterized by or associated with a particular activity or phenomenon. Example, hay fever season. That definitely is a season. That's a season none of us really like. And there are several other definitions of season. And obviously, like I said, I read just entry 1, because entry 2 pertains more to food. But entry 1 definitely shows that it is, a particular circumstance. It's a natural time, an indefinite period of time, a period of the year, so it's just a time, a season. And when you are going through different things like this, it's just important to remember the fact that this is a period of time. And by saying it's a period of time, even though you're not really giving a specific end date to it, it indicates that at some point in time, this will come to an end. And seasons, especially when you're thinking about it in the terms of things that we go through, we have to remember that it will end. And everybody's season is going to be different. There can be seasons of highs and there can be seasons of lows. That's what life is about. When I was driving home with my sister this week and we were getting ourselves aligned, before we really even tapped into the season, I had asked her, if there was one word that you could use to describe life right now for us, what would you describe it as? And she said a roller coaster. And she is so right. Like I said, yes. That is so true. And that is how we have been characterizing our situation, is a roller coaster. There is highs and lows, and it's thrills, chills, all of it, all in one situation. And it's just like, but it ends. And that's the thing. That's always the thing to remember. It ends. It doesn't always last forever. And so we're utilizing that to help remind us while we are in this season that this won't last forever. So we just have to ride it out, because that's the only way that you can get off of a roller coaster. I mean, you got to get to the end. Yes, you go through it all, but just to know everything that you face, you're equipped to handle. You have the safety restraint when you're on the roller coaster. In this case, there is no safety restraint. Well, technically, there's no restraint, but there is a safety restraint behind Tracy and I. We have our friends, we have our family, we have God, and we have our ancestors pouring into us to help us be able to feel strong enough to push through. And in those moments where we feel like we just can't make it, we can glean into help. And that's always, like I mentioned, a challenge, because as caregivers, you don't want to burden other people. Sometimes you don't want to talk to other people about what you go through, but it definitely is needed. Help is needed, and help is always given to those who ask for it, aka Albus Dumbledore from Hogwarts in the Harry Potter series, but it is always true. Help is available, and we have to remember those things. We can't allow ourselves to be siloed where we forget that help is available if we need it. It's just sometimes, I think for some of us, we lean so much into worrying about what other people think that we try to take it all on ourselves. And that's not healthy, even though at times I have done that and still do that. I don't ever advocate for people to do that. I advocate for people to have help. And like now, I try to make sure that I lean more into my family, like my sister, when I needed support. Like I needed her to go to the hospital instead of me. She went. It wasn't that I don't love my mom. It wasn't that I don't want to be around her, but I need a break. Like I just can't be there all the time and be expected to be strong. And because I need to rest, I need to work, I need to focus on other things, because I want to make sure that I still stay fresh mentally so that I can give you the best parts of me. And that can apply in any situation where you feel overwhelmed, where you feel like you're in a season. It's not just about caring for someone when you're in seasons. I'm just equating that because that's just what I'm living with right now. But don't be afraid to ask for help in seasons, because they will end. It's just a matter of you deciding how you're going to ride through the highs and lows of the roller coaster of life, because life be lifing. So that's just my little quick, brief conversation on sermons and seasons. Not sermons, seasons. I'm sorry, y'all. Maybe just blame it on the fact I'm in a season, I'm going through. But I have to admit, today I feel good. Today I feel good. Today I don't feel like I couldn't do it. I didn't say that one time today, that I'm not going to be able to do this. Like I can't do this. Because, you sometimes when you're in those seasons, you say that a lot. But today's been a great day, and I'm grateful for great days. I cling to them in the season and hold on to it. And it was nice, and I am grateful. So that's just the season that I am in. The other thing, because there's other things going on. Like I said, life is still lifing outside of all the madness. I am really excited because next week I will be launching with Crissy Diaz a series. We have a series coming up, y'all. It is time for us to fall into ourselves, because we are transitioning into fall, as we are transitioning into the latter parts of the month, latter parts of the year, excuse me. There are still great things to be done. There are still things to achieve. There is still life to live. And we want to spotlight a couple of topics and with some amazing women, and sit down and have some real conversations about how we are navigating being able to let go. Or we're going to have conversations around self-love again, because self-love couldn't be just a one-time conversation. It has to be a two-time conversation. Let's also talk about family and generational trauma, because you know what, y'all, we need to heal. It's amazing, some conversations that I've had lately around trauma, especially generational trauma, and within my own family. And I'm just like, wow, those are the things when we talk about breaking generational curses. That's how you break away generational curses. You bring through generational trauma, you talk about it, and you make a concerted effort to heal. So we're going to talk about that as well. We're going to also talk about living beyond 40, life beyond 40. Y'all, this is my last year in the 40s. I'm very proud of the fact that next year in February, I will be 50 years old and I still look good. I look damn good for 49. I'm about to be 50. And I don't care if you disagree. Don't tell me because it doesn't matter. To me, I still look good. But we're going to talk about that too. And we're going to talk about finding and living in purpose because finding your purpose and tapping into who you are and sidestepping imposter syndrome is tough. I mean, we are living in a society that loves to be on social media, me included. So let me not act like I don't like it. I love it. And we only see highlight reels of people's lives. And we don't really realize what people go through or talk about in order to get to that level. So we have to have real conversations so we can help everybody understand that your life is uniquely beautiful and your path is uniquely beautiful. The Well Done Life is about living on your terms and charting your course to live life well done your way. So we're going to talk about that. So I am very excited to launch this Fall into Self series. So you will be seeing different postings, on social media about it. And our first episode is going to launch on August the 14th. So right around the corner. And it is going to be on the process of letting go. And this episode is really, like I said, it is going to talk about letting go of things that are holding us back, preconceived notions, relationships, friendships, etc. We're going to try to hit the gamut. I am very excited about that conversation. And Crissy and I have some amazing guests that are going to be on the show with us. Kathleen Daniels, Yolanda Holloway, and possibly T-Todd Walker. We have like backup. So we're trying to work. It's going to be a nice, intimate conversation where we can just like sit down and have real dialogue that hopefully you guys will be able to learn and grow and experience and definitely just really tap in because we want to help everyone live and fall into themselves because that's what falling in is about, tapping into those things. And this is definitely our first series, probably will not be our last. The show episodes, we have approximately 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me see. I know I probably should have counted them before. My bad. 7 episodes. That's good because I love 7. 7 is my favorite number. The 7 is the number of completion. So that episode, Fall into Self, will be a nice round package. So we will definitely be talking about it. So for the next few episodes, y'all, this is what we got. We are falling into self. We are doing this together. Crissy and I are so excited to partner. I'm very excited for you guys to have her. Welcome her. She's been on the podcast before several times. And I definitely will link previous episodes that Crissy's been a part of so that you can get a chance to hear her, learn more about her before we get started with the series, because she is an amazing woman. She is an achiever. She is an overcomer. So I'm just really grateful that she wanted to partner with little old me on this series. And so we are really excited about falling into self with you. I think this is a great opportunity for us to reset for August. I feel like August is the month of reset. Even though I'm in the middle of a season, I am still in the season where I need to reset too. I'm talking about a juice cleanse. Like I need to clear my energy, chi, everything. I'm going to do all of that within this time, and I'm going to fall into self. So I want you to fall into self with me and with us so that we can all live our best lives together. So that's what I have this week. I know it's a shorter episode, but I'm sure y'all will understand with everything going on that it's a little hard to focus. But I wanted to make sure that I came on and talked a little bit, like I said, about seasons, because I know I'm not the only person out there in a season. And I want you to, if you don't get anything else from what we talked about today, to understand that even if you can just put words together about what you're experiencing, by just even taking the step to admit you're in a season, will help you free yourself from the feelings of fear that surround you while you're in that season. And it will allow you to remember that you are wonderfully equipped through your faith, through your ancestors, through your God. All of those things are surrounding you. We are sending you prayers and love on the journey in that season, and that you will overcome it because it will end. And the best thing that you can do is just go through and ride it out, because you are equipped to do that. You've got that. So I want to encourage you, because encouraging you encourages me. And I also just, again, want to thank you guys in advance for your support of Fall Into Self. I hope you enjoy it. Crissy and I are trying to be as thoughtful and as intentional as we can with the content, because we really want to help some folks. And we're trying to help ourselves, no lie, because some of those topics, like I said, have definitely been on the forefront. And for myself and for her, we are both in these seasons of growth. And so this is just a conversation where all of us can grow together. It's not judgment. It's not preaching. It's real people being real honest about the things that are going on in their lives and how they are overcoming. So we welcome you into the conversation, and we look forward to falling into self with you too. I'm going to have all of my information in the show notes. Like I mentioned, I'm going to put Crissy's previous episodes on the podcast as well, so that you guys can learn more about her. And I definitely look forward to talking with you guys next week. I just want to say, take care of yourselves and each other, and I will talk to you soon. Have a great rest of the weekend, y'all. Bye.